Alright lads, welcome back to the channel. So today we're looking at the newest event in War Thunder. It is the Inferno Cannon event. This is running from the 24th of April, which is 6 days away from right now, which is the 18th. And it's running until May the 8th, which I believe is 14 days. So we've got 14 days to grind out 35,000 mission score every 2 of those days, basically. So you need to grind about 17,500. No, is that right? Yeah, 17,500 mission score every day, basically, for 14 days. At the end of those 14 days, you will get a coupon, which is non-tradable for the PLZ 83130. And if you do want to trade it, it's going to cost you 600,000 mission score points, which is not something that I am interested in grinding out because I really don't like War Thunder at the minute. I'm just sticking to naval and bullying people in my coastal vessels. So what is the PLZ 83100? Well, the base model, the PLZ 83, is a self-propelled howitzer. As you'd expect, it uses the Soviet copy and paste 152mm howitzer. And from what I can tell, it is a pretty decent vehicle. As you can see here, the base vehicle we already have in War Thunder. This is the PTZ 89. I think it's the same chassis. I could be wrong. It does look very similar to my eyes, at least. So what is the difference between the PLZ 83130 and the just 83? Well, as you can probably guess, the 130 stands for a 130mm cannon. So this is basically a Chinese yoink. They basically just copy and pasted a Soviet M46. So what is the Soviet M46? Well, it was designed post-World War II to basically replace the 122mm gun found on a lot of tanks and a lot of basically artillery as well for the Soviet armies. Usually though, like in NATO, we have a 105mm gun, which is like our, not mountain gun, but it's like an air portable, quite light vehicle. It's not really that intensive on logistics. And then you also have the big battery heavy 155mm guns, which usually have more advanced rounds like the laser designated ones and the rocket assisted ones, but they are big, heavy, quite a big baggage train, very hard on logistics. So you usually choose between like a 4-inch and like a 6-inch kind of gun, but the Soviets for some reason went just above 5 inches. It's like 5.1 inches. So compared to the 152 found on most Soviet artillery batteries, the M46, the 130mm gun, I believe it was 55 calibers as well, so it's very, very long barrel. This allows you to have a full burn, what it's called, of ammunition. Basically, it'll burn all of the powder in a charge, instead of just spitting it out the end if you try and do that on a shorter barrel. I can't really find what it says, but it's something like that. Anyway, so while this gun wasn't really found to be that good in terms of fragmentation, the smaller 130mm shell, it's quite hard for it to compete with a 152mm round. So for targeting infantry and amassed assets, it's an enemy that's concentrating for attack, the 130 wasn't really that great at dispersing them. Not that I want to be shot at by a 130mm high explosive round, but anyway, what they found the M46 was good at was its incredible long range. As you can see here, it was one of the longest range artillery pieces in existence at the time, with a range of 17 miles. So they basically were using this for counter battery fire. Obviously, if you can outrange an enemy artillery, you can shoot at them and they can't shoot at you, and that is basically what this was for, really. So so long as it was good enough for killing people stood around a towed artillery piece and hitting ammunition, it didn't really matter too much about its limited fragmentation and stuff like that. So it also says here that I believe the muzzle velocity is 930 meters per second. Obviously, this is just Wikipedia, so I have no evidence to back that up, but it does sound about right. If you take a look at this image, you'll notice that this thing here looks kind of similar to something that we already have in War Thunder. What could it possibly be? And that is, you guessed it, the IS-7. So I can't say that this gun is the same as found on the IS-7 because I don't think it technically is. They probably just use the same muzzle brake. But I think both of these guns were developed from the same 130mm Soviet naval gun. So that's why they kind of look similar. This is the S-70, whereas obviously the 130mm gun found on the PLZ isn't this gun, so it's probably going to be similar though. Take a quick look at the ammunition. The high explosive round travels at 900 meters per second, which is a little bit slower than what it says on Wikipedia. I don't know who's a more untrustworthy source, Guardian or Wikipedia. That truly is a question for the ages. But 37mm of penetration with its 3.64 kilos of TNT, not too bad to be honest. And the reload of the IS-7 as well, it is 10 seconds per round, sorry. It does say that the rate of fire of the 130mm gun is between 5 and 6 rounds, so it's probably around that for the PLZ 83-130 as well. On another website, doing a little bit more research, you can see that it does say that the muzzle velocity is 930 meters per second. I don't know if I don't know if Wikipedia has just used this as his source. I don't really know though. But the gun rate of fire is between 5 to 6 rounds per minute, as I said. So it's going to be around 10 to 12.5 seconds per firing, which is pretty decent to be honest. It also says here that at a range of 1.1 kilometers, it can penetrate 230mm of armor with an armor-piercing round. I'm going to guess that is an armor-piercing high explosive rather than an APC-BC round. I don't really see the Chinese making an APC-BC round for a self-propelled howitzer, but I could be wrong. Who knows? So lads, that's all I've got to say about the PLZ 83-130. It's not really a vehicle that I'm particularly excited for. It's in the Chinese territory. It's not premium, so it's not really going to be amazing, to be honest. I don't really see people grinding the Chinese territory to put this thing in a lineup. I already do have quite a lot of Chinese vehicles, so maybe I'll buy it, or maybe I'll just play it or grind it. I'm not really too interested though. The tank isn't that good. These things aren't really good at all, so a kind of a forgettable thing. As you can see here, people in the comments are not particularly excited. And basically, I'll leave you to read that if you want to in your own time. But anyway, lads, have a beer on me, have a good night, and I'll see you in the next video, hopefully.